Hi there, I'm Miko Nehman. I'm with Century 21 Hometown Realty.
And I'm April Hugh, and I'm with Century 21 Hometown Realty. And today we have Rachel Buchan from Fidelity National Title, Escrow Officer. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Gosh, I was trying to think about how long we've known each other.
A long time.
Long time, right?
I don't know, at least.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were at I think it was it Stewart when we, like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Or, okay, yeah.
Was it really?
It was.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I started actually in the building that I'm in now. I started there in '89.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, David wasn't there at that time, but I started in the title department. Same, my mom was in lending, and the sales rep at that time went in and said they were, hiring, and my daughter, and that was that.
So you were like, well, I think I need a new job?
My background was in accounting. I did accounting, and they needed somebody to do the bank. So I did a lot of different things, and I was in title maybe 6 months, and I watched those girls over in escrow, and they looked like they were having more fun. So
Silly you.
Did you decide to be, did you become like an assistant then for a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it was like a secretary back then, and at that time, Hancock offered Escrow 1, Principles of Real Estate, Real Estate Law. So at that time, I took all those classes. I don't think they offer them anymore. But so I basically started as a secretary, learned little steps, and I liked it, obviously. Went to Hancock, took all the classes they could, and then there is an escrow association, and they offer education. So then I did all that education and tested, and I hold I'm called a certified senior escrow officer.
Oh, okay.
And like you, I have to do continuing education credits. I was at a meeting last night and go to conferences and just keep up.
Things change so quickly though. So we have so many things that change so quick in this business, and we have to constantly keep up with it.
It's kind of like, gosh, why are we doing this? Everything was working before, but
Yeah.
I guess, and then you realize, well, that does make things a little bit more efficient, I guess, sometimes. It's just like kind of technology, just the changing pace of the world, so changes.
So can you just give us
Yeah.
a simple explanation of what escrow is? I think
Yeah.
people, buyers and sellers, and just the normal public, they're like, what is escrow?
What is it?
And
what is
we're
it?
constantly throwing, we're going to close escrow, and
Right.
it's going to record. Well, what does that mean,
Exactly.
right?
You know what? In California, they talk differently in different states, and it just so it gets confusing, especially when you have a buyer from out of state and coming to California and like, well, no, I'm not going to sign loan documents until we do that when we, or whatever what they're used to. So, anyhow,
Attorney state. They do it at the table, everybody together. We're an escrow state. The basic description of escrow is I'm a neutral third party. So the buyer makes an offer in writing, the seller accepts it, and then the contract's handed to me as a neutral person. So I hold the money because the buyer doesn't want to give the seller their deposit because it's there and to be held until they have opportunity to do their inspections. So the deposit comes to us. And then the seller signs the deed, same thing. The seller doesn't want to sign the deed to the property and give it to the buyer. So I'm kind of the hub or the neutral third party. Everything comes in, documents, money, and I also am the information highway as far as the lender wants items. It needs verification of title ownership, that the seller owns the property. They want verification that they're going to be the first lien on the property. So we coordinate with the lender that they give me the money as well, and the second I can put the buyer as the owner and then secure their loan on the property, I can use that money to pay the seller after I've paid any of their debts. So neutral third party, everything comes in, and I'm the holder of the money and the documents. That's the simplest explanation. And we take instruction. As escrow, I can do anything.
And you follow the contract, and that basically is your instructions to both parties, right? So.
Any mutual agreed upon instructions we can comply with. And I can do anything. But I also have to tell everybody. So I have to disclose everything to the lender. I'm obligated to, inform them of everything, inform the buyer of everything, inform the seller of everything.
Neutral is the key word.
and then also you hold a notary. You notarize documents as well. So, for example, the grant deed, the seller will come in and
And I do meet with most sellers. If I can, if they're local, I like to. I feel that once I've met them, we have a better communication.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right.
From that point forward, I mean, they feel free to call me. They'll tell me more information that I need to. Sometimes when people don't meet people, and everything flows much better. Yeah. Buyers anymore, everything seems to be DocuSign. With COVID and us having less people come in the office, most of the buyers will sign their initial escrow papers, receipt of reports and items from us by DocuSign. And then when it's time to sign their final documents, which need to be notarized, that's a process that takes a little more time, and we'll set them up with an actual mobile notary.
Well, that's so did you go completely to a mobile notary then? So the escrow officers aren't really signing the loan documents with the clients anymore?
It's difficult because for me to sit in a conference room with somebody for 45 minutes and not answer my phone or not reply to emails, it causes a bottleneck on the other side, because I have lenders that are needing, when we get down to the wire and we're doing the CD collaboration back and forth, I have to be able to respond to them quickly to get loan docs. So 2 times a day, 45 minutes.
It's impossible. Yeah.
So, because I remember back in the day, though,
Yes,
you did.
you
So
did,
that's,
yep,
I mean,
that's
I
correct.
did. When I did refinances and all that, we would sit with the escrow officer. And
Yep.
so it has, I mean, just I think the volume of, is it the volume? And you think,
It's the changing in the industry, like you were saying earlier. It's the mandated. Before, we didn't do the collaboration, and it wasn't so, timing wasn't so urgent that I was at the desk to respond at a click to get the lender the things they needed to get docs. Because it's hard to get loan docs, and when we get down to that moment, and I've got to collaborate, and sometimes we're collaborating 4 and 5 times, they have something wrong, they're missing something, and and until I can get the loan docs. So it's to give the customer, the buyer, the time that they need to really review and look at the documents.
yeah.
And then to back up, the escrow package that the buyer and seller get, there's a lot of information in that package, down to the statement of information and the preliminary title report and the natural hazard, report. It's a lot for a first timer or anybody.
And usually I'll give them the choice. I'll ask them when the buyer brings the deposit in, what is your preference? Do you want to come in and sign? Do you want electronic? Do you want me to send?
Yeah. So when you ask them that, so if they do come in, do you sit with them then, and you can
Yes.
still kind of do your computer thing if they're, with loan docs, just
Pre-COVID, we did. Our office is open, but we're not having anybody. We have 18 employees. And so now we meet strictly in conference rooms that we can keep sanitized and clean and separate from everybody. I used to be able to just, sit at my desk and update things. But I meet them in the conference room. When I meet sellers, I'll excuse and go back to my desk. I like to give them the estimate. If I can give them their estimate, that's what everybody wants to see. So if they've brought me the information so I can provide them with an estimate, then I'll run back to my desk, do the estimate, give it to the seller, because really that's ultimately information they want.
that's the big,
I tried to see you the other day, and you were too busy for me. So I wrote you a note. You were.
I appreciated it.
So say that we have an acceptance and we send it over to you. Here's the offer, it's been accepted, and then you start the process, as far as getting maybe an escrow number. Now, do you wait before the buyer drops the deposit off before you start pulling, ordering the
Prelim,
the
NHD.
NHD, and what have you? Do you
What's
wait for the
your- what's your
deposit?
process?
Well, in our company, to get an escrow number, I have to input the transaction, all the information: buyers, sellers, sales price, property address, agents, lender. We have to build it in the system, and that'll initiate an escrow number. As soon as an escrow number is initiated, the title report starts.
Okay.
And if I know who the NHD is with, I'll order it right away. Because I can get online to most companies. Same with the homeowners association. If I know who it is, know who the company is, I'll get that started. I don't wait for the EMD. Most of the time, about 50% of the time, the buyers will drop their deposit off. 50% of the time, the agents will ask me to contact the buyers. So then I'll immediately start coordinating that, because if your buyer's out of state, they're going to wire money. I had a gentleman yesterday out of state that was packing, and he preferred just to FedEx. So I don't wait. I don't wait as far as NHD, prelim, HOA. Get them ordered right away, because some of them take time.
So how long does it take to get the full package? Not counting the HOA documents, because that is a separate entity, which is fun. But just, the opening package, your basic opening package.
It's an average of 3 to 5 days. It just depends. Sometimes I don't get a fully executed contract. I don't like to send papers out until I could sign page 10, and I won't sign page 10 until I have the deposit and the fully executed contract. So if everything's in, and I can get the deposit within the 3 days and sign it, and I have the title report, I could produce a buyer package within 3 to 5 days.
Okay. Now, I recently started ordering the preliminary title report and the NHD ahead of time because of the home hardening thing, because then I can have the seller fill out the disclosure that we need.
Right,
So it's like that.
It's helpful to me too. It makes the opening process go much quicker.
Okay, good.
Much quicker, yeah. And I have no problems doing that. And then as soon as escrow's open, hey, you have an escrow number right away. We update the title report. You already have the NHD. It makes things, because properties are selling quickly too. It gives everybody a jump on it, and that's a lot of agents have been doing that because of the fire NHD. Yeah.
That's a tricky little form.
Well, a
new disclosure, but and I do, to back up on that, the buyer's package is number one important. Okay. So if we have a 45-day escrow, I'm going to get the buyer's package out in 3 to 5 days, but I'm not going to have the seller sign that soon. Most sellers, if you call them anyways, they're like, we're not even past inspections. We don't even have, and I don't want to waste their time.
Right. We have to get,
I usually wait till after, we're done with all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So buyer's package, yes, because we've got contingency items that they need to review. Seller's packages, so a lot of times, Mondays we come in and we're opening 10 escrows. And then they kind of go in, okay, what's their closing order date, and when is the file, when is everything in, and then I'll just push out all the buyer's packages, put the files aside, and then go back when it's still calmer, and then start contacting sellers and setting up appointments. But
I never really realized that that's how that was.
Every escrow officer is different, but I've just found, I tweak things based on the client's needs, and the sellers are usually, why are we signing so early? And it's like, you're right. Why waste your time and my time? There's nothing I need from them that's time sensitive.
Nope.
If it's a 45-day escrow, I can get everything the last 15.
Yeah, you can get their payoff and all that.
Yeah.
So you rolled your eyes when she mentioned the HOA documents.
I know, that's
and
next.
that means the homeowners association documents.
Yeah.
Yes, those
Yeah.
are.
So tell us about that.
My goodness.
It is a little
It's a
bit
heartache
frustration.
every time.
I mean, is
It
it
is.
3 weeks? I mean, it just,
Basically, we were going to close escrow next week, and we had just got the HOA documents.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cash deal. That was the only contingency, and it's just.
Everyone is different. Everyone is different, and it just depends. If, as a listing agent, you prep your seller for it, it's much easier.
So if they order it before you take, when you take the listing, no.
Because most of them need the buyer's names. The largest management company in town, when you place their order on their website that you have to have an account for, they require the buyer's names. So you really can't do it ahead of time.
John Doe.
Problem I have-
Jane Doe.
Yeah, that's right. And it would work, and it would close
Yeah.
fine. The problem I have is when I get the order and I call the seller and say, civil code and contract requires that you provide, and this is the process of the management company, and so we could either pay by check or online, $365. Then they choke and go, what? Yeah. So then what happens is they don't really know who I am. They say, okay, I'll call you back, and then they probably call their agent. Then we've lost a day. And that's what usually happens in losing a couple days, and then they hum-ha and they don't want to pay it, and then they realize they have to pay it, and then we get it paid. And again, the larger management company in town, it's 7 business days from payment.
okay.
So so that's where you lose the time.
But most of the HOA documents are uploaded to, right, where they can, your seller can go in, pay it, and most
It's a
of them.
link. It's a link.
Right?
Well, they can make payment, and if they make payment, after they make payment, if I place the order and then the seller makes payment, I'll have the documents emailed to me in 7 days.
Okay.
So I mean, honestly, it's a little, I mean, it's not the big company in town, but it was a company in town, and I had my seller write we were asking Escrow for the link, right, first thing, and we finally got the link 2 days, once we opened it, paid it right away. It was 3 weeks from acceptance that we got them.
And they will do rush. But the fee's like 100 for, or 150.
Really?
Yeah.
Just on top of the other mega amount. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
There's,
So
it's a, three of the largest companies, there's a delay. It takes time.
So is the other challenge that you have with solar panels? Maybe?
It's, it gets done. It's just kind of like, it's like you feel like you threw it in the air, and is it happening? Because the seller has to initiate it. Seller is the customer of the solar company. So they have to initiate the call to the solar company and say, I'm selling the property, you need to sign the contract. And then they're busy, and then it takes them 5 days to send the email to the seller, which the seller has to complete, and then they'll send it to the buyer.
Well, Tesla, for example, always wants the buyer's name and phone number right off the bat. So, that's what I've been doing, is getting that information to my seller so that they can start the process right away.
Yeah, it's right in the beginning.
Yep.
When you yep.
We get them, and I haven't had it delay in escrow. It's just that unknown, like, when the buyers come to sign docs, did you go online and do your part? Yes, I did. And then when it's all done, there's a payment that has to be made before they'll even contact me. So the seller has to do their part, the buyer does their part, then somebody has to make a payment. It's usually the buyer, and then I get an email that says, "Okay, we want to send you the release. Send me a FedEx, and I'll send you the release."
It seems like it's getting better, though,
I think
than years past. It seemed like years ago it just was,
that was
so
like, yeah,
stressful.
That was,
Well, I think the solar companies weren't prepared. I don't think they realized when they recorded stuff on the properties that each time people, and then with all the refinancing that went on, every refi we had to have a release from them.
Oh my gosh.
So then the process got slowed because they had so many.
So now, are you real busy right now? How was it? I mean, how have you been busy in the last 12 months? I mean, has it been getting
Pretty
busier? Are you getting a little bit slower?
It's slowed down a bit, but
much, though.
from March of 2020, when we got word, we thought we were going to be sitting there twiddling our thumbs for, first 2 weeks we were we were like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And after that, it's been gangbusters, hasn't slowed down. I've had since probably the busiest year I've ever had.
Oh, okay.
It's
Us too. Everybody.
Yeah.
so and it hasn't stopped. And then we just keep reanalyzing it, like, is something going to change? Interest rates have refis have slowed a little, but I think anybody that's refied in the last 2 years and has under 3%, I mean, there's nobody else to refi.
Right.
Yeah, but the purchases keep rolling. There's been a little slow up. I'd say probably in the last 3 weeks overall, our operation has seen a slowdown in open orders. But here in Santa Maria, we're still, it's still, yeah.
It's hopping. Well, and you brought up the COVID and and not the surge of refis and everything. So how did that affect did you want to maybe talk about that a little bit?
It did and it didn't. I mean,
You had the trailer, the little trailer in the.
that was the greatest, strangest thing ever.
It was strange.
It was very strange, but it worked. And people, at the first 6 months, people weren't comfortable going anywhere. And when we would call and say we had ducks, and then we had mobile notaries that weren't comfortable going into people's homes. So it was a happy medium, I guess. And we would tell people, and then a lot of people were off work or their kids were home. So they're like, I have my kids with me. Well, guess what? Bring them. One of you can come in and sign, the other one stay in the car, and you can flip-flop. It was easy to keep sanitary, cleaned after each client. And again, in our office, we found when people came in our conference rooms, even though they were in an enclosed conference room, they could see all the employees walking around, and they would comment, how many people are up here? How many, So I think we all felt that way the first.
It was such an unknown. Yeah, everything was so unknown.
So for our employees to feel safe and not having, because the 18 of us being together every day, we kind of made a pact, like we took care of each other. We knew each other, you know. But to have people in and out and in and out, so it stopped that, so the employees felt better, and the customers, even though it was kind of a dirty trailer, I mean, but it wasn't dirty, but it was, they were thankful. Every customer was, thank you for doing this. This is great. This was a great idea. So we were able to still see people. And then we did a lot of DocuSign. If it wasn't necessary for people to come in, we have that ability. We also have a new it's called Start Safe program, where when escrow was opened, they would get an email and they can give us some upfront information. So it eliminated a lot of contact. The hardest part was money. We had secure drop boxes outside of our door. When our door was closed and went outside, people just weren't comfortable dropping their checks off. When I would be signing people in the trailer, I would see people go drop a check off, and they would take pictures. Or they'd drop a check and call me and say, I just dropped a check in the box.
No, my client wouldn't do it either. Yeah, she said, I need you to come get it. So it's like, okie doke.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
the initial deposit, no.
Even if it was payable to us in a secure box, that was actually harder. The customers felt having the trailer there made people feel safer and comfortable.
I can't remember, does it have your name on it though?
The trailer?
No, the box.
The box does.
Yeah.
yeah.
I couldn't remember.
I've had people drop it off.
Yeah.
It was either, I had one gentleman, I had walked downstairs, I said, I could take that if you're not comfortable. He's like, it's be able to fill. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. And then you had the others who would not.
It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
So is there any other little tips that you can give our buyers and sellers to be prepared for so that it makes the whole process smoother? Any other little tidbits in your many years of experience?
Well, I think, like you said, it's escrow. It's that mystery. What is escrow?
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, it's through the whole. It's overwhelming for a buyer.
Oh, why don't you just go through what does close of escrow mean? And recording, that would be good.
No, yeah, that's a mystery too. But it's just buyers are overwhelmed because they have their agents and they have an inspector and then they have their lender and they have all these people and then they're like, and who are you?
Right.
What do you do?
What's your part of this?
So it's just because the process is overwhelming. Most of the time, sellers will understand what I'm going to ask them and what they have to come in for.
Well, I think that it helps that we prepare them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
with the whole process, but
A lot of tax forms, the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board have caught on to that we're the hub and, everything's, we have to disclose everything to both of them. And so I like to meet with the sellers to explain, what the forms are and who we're sending them to and who we're notifying that you're selling the property on the seller side. So they're not surprised. Close of escrow here in California, different because we're an escrow state and not an attorney state. We don't table close where everybody sits together. Closing, the day of closing, nobody has to be in my office. It's a matter of, we used to physically take the grantee to the county recorder's office, stand there and have them review it. And when they reviewed it and accepted it for clarity, completion, the notary was clear, the owners are listed, they would stamp accepting it, and that's when we were officially recorded. Now everything's electronic. So it goes through an electronic system, but somebody on the other side has to pick it up. So we send it through a system, and an employee at the county has to pull it off the system, review it, and then we get a notification back that they've reviewed and accepted it. So that's recording, that's where the deed transferred from the seller to the buyer. And as soon as that's done, and again, it's my job to make sure it's done. I'll disperse. And then closing is physically me making the payoff, paying commissions, paying the termite companies, home warranties, anybody that needs to be paid, making all those disbursements, and then doing the finalization of the closing statement, which the seller gets theirs, the buyer gets theirs, the lender has a bazillion things they want, and it's done. So the actual closing. So buyers will always ask me, well, when will I get my keys? Well, it depends. On a Wednesday, like yesterday, we probably could have got confirmation at 8:30 or 9. Friday, the end of the month, it could be 11. It just depends on how many documents they have to review and how many employees they have at the county. Could be a vacation.
Get the official word. And then also, I mean, it depends on the contract when you actually get those keys. I mean, sometimes buyers.
Yeah, but how exciting.
It is, I
We
know.
recorded this morning at 9.
Usually we'll just tell them, when the buyers come in to sign their loan docs, I'll explain that you're done. If they brought their money and they signed the docs, you're done. I won't need anything. If I do, I'll call you. If you don't hear from me, I don't need anything.
Yep.
And as soon as we're closed and it's done, your agent will be notified and your agent will contact you about keys. That's, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
On that note, we love it when that happens and people
That's
get
the
into
happy
their
time.
new home and
Yep.
the seller can go do their next thing and
Yeah.
that's the reward.
That's the reward. It is. Why we've been doing this so long, right?
Keeps us going. So.
Exactly. Well, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. You are a wealth of information.
Yes.
Thank you guys for inviting me or having me. And
Then,
So thank you so much, Rachel. And if you have any other questions or would like more information, I can be reached at 805-878-5056.
And I'm at 805-714-8124. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye. To see more information, go ahead and click on that button, and you can reach me at 805-714-8124.
And my number is 805-878-5056.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye.